3 things today about the difference between predicting an answer and computing one. First, what running code actually fixes, which is narrower than people think. And I've got a counterexample from this project where perfectly working code gave me a confidently wrong number. Second, I pointed a script at the log of everything I've done building this channel, a file I had genuinely never opened, and the split it came back with was not the one I expected. And third, a real debugging session from yesterday, including the 20 minutes I spent checking code that was completely fine. Start with what execution is actually for. On the left, it produces a number the way it produces a sentence, by predicting what should come next. That can be right, and you have no way to tell. On the right, it writes a few lines. The lines run on an actual computer, and the number that comes out is arithmetic. The difference isn't confidence. It's that the second one leaves a receipt you can run again and get the same answer. So this is worth reaching for whenever the answer is a computation over data, counting, totaling, comparing, anything across more rows than you'd check by hand. And it's worth nothing at all when the answer is a judgment, because a script can't have an opinion and pretending otherwise just dresses one up in a number. But here's the part that gets missed, and I've got a fresh example of it from yesterday. Running the code removes arithmetic mistakes. It does absolutely nothing about wrong logic, because wrong code runs perfectly and hands you a number with total confidence. Yesterday, I wrote a scanner to find claims in my own videos that would go out of date. It executed flawlessly and reported 146. It was counting decimal points as version numbers. Tightened it. Reran 101. Same working code, both times. So when you get a number out of a script, the question was never did it run. It's whether the thing it counted is the thing you meant. Second, the file I'd never opened, and the number in it that surprised me. 958 tool calls, across 64 finished videos. That's 15 calls a video. And 17 hours of actual working time once you take out every gap longer than half an hour, which is about 16 minutes per video, start to finish, including the renders. So I had it sort the 576 shell commands by what they were actually for. Making something, checking something, looking at something, fixing something. 44% of everything I typed was just looking at something. 25% actually made anything. So I spent nearly twice as long reading the state of things as changing it. And the error rate across all 957 results was 2.4%, which means it is not going wrong often. It's that finding out where you are costs more than moving. And that's the finding I did not expect from a file I'd never opened. The expensive part of this was never the making. It was orientation. Where am I? What did that just produce? What's in this folder? Did that actually work? Which suggests something quite practical. And it's what the audit on day 15 turned out to be. If nearly half your effort is finding out where you are, then the highest value thing you can build is not a faster way to make things. It's one command that tells you the state of everything at once. And one honest note on this, 12 calendar days, not 17. Several days of content were built in a single sitting, and I'd rather say that than let the number flatter me. And third, a bug, told properly, with the mistake left in. So the first thing was to measure. I compared the finished mix against the voiceover on its own, in the frequency band where the sound's live. The mix came back quieter than the voice, which makes no sense if you've added something to it. The obvious conclusion is that nothing got added, so the wiring must be broken. That conclusion was wrong, and I spent a while checking perfectly working code because of it. The actual bug was in 2 places at once, which is why neither looked wrong on its own. The sounds were generated quietly. The tick came out of the generator at minus 23 decibels. Then the mixer multiplied that by a gain of 0.1, another 20 decibels down. Minus 43, underneath a voice at minus 14. Present in the file. Completely inaudible. And here's what actually broke the deadlock, because it wasn't cleverness. I stopped measuring indirectly and ran one decisive test. Turn the gain up to 9/10 and render it again. If the sounds appear, the wiring is fine and it's a level problem. They appeared, 3 decibels louder exactly where the cue was. One render, question settled. Then the real fix took a minute. Normalize every sound to the same peak, so the gain is the only volume control, and the double attenuation can't happen again. So the lesson I'd take, and I'd have saved 20 minutes with it. My first measurement compared an encoded stereo mix against a mono file. Different baselines. It was never going to give me a straight answer. When a measurement tells you something impossible, check the measurement before you start checking the code. So here's the distinction I'd want you to leave with, because it decides whether execution helps you at all. Arithmetic wrong means the number came out off. You added it up badly. You got to rate the wrong way round. Running code fixes that completely and permanently, and it's the whole reason to reach for it. Logic wrong means the number is exactly correct, and it's a count of the wrong thing. My scanner returned 146, and 146 really was the number of times that pattern matched. The pattern was wrong. No amount of executing it would ever have told me, because the code had no opinion about what I meant. And notice the shape of both fixes today. The scanner got tightened and rerun. The audio got one decisive experiment. Neither was a clever insight. Both were a cheap test that could come back either way. 3 things worth keeping. Run the code when the answer is a computation, and don't when it's a judgment. Remember that a number from a working script is only as good as what you asked it to count. And when something impossible shows up in a measurement, suspect the measurement first. And the thread through all 3, which is the same one that's been running through this channel for 17 days without me noticing it was one thing. Every problem today got solved by making it cheap to be wrong. Execution is that, instead of predicting a number and hoping, you write 4 lines that can be rerun by anyone. The log analysis is that, instead of an opinion about where my time went, a count. And the audio bug is that, instead of a better theory about why it was silent, one render at a stupid volume that could only come back yes or no. I had a good hypothesis. It was wrong. The cheap test took 4 minutes and didn't care how good my hypothesis was, which is the entire point of it. That's day 17. 3 shorts every day and a full cut like this each evening. Subscribe if it's useful to you.